The Eucharist is the source of life for Catholics because in it, Christ is present in the form of bread and wine. The suffering that Jesus experienced until he died on the cross is clear proof that God truly loves us so much that he was willing to sacrifice his only Son to atone for human sins. Therefore, we must know that the Eucharist has a very large role in a Catholic's faith. Here are 10 facts about the Eucharist that Catholics really need to know. Union with Christ. Receiving the host in the Eucharist unites us with Jesus. Saint Cyril of Alexandria described the Eucharist as wax that melts and then merges with other wax. A Catholic's journey of faith is a journey to become like Jesus Christ, as the Gospel of John quotes, abiding in him and he in us. Abide in me, and I in you. Just as a branch cannot bear fruit of itself unless it abides in the vine, so neither can you bear fruit unless you abide in me. Freedom from venial sins. Through the Eucharist, we can be freed from venial sin, so that we are reunited with the love of Jesus Christ and can start a new life. Saint Thomas Aquinas said that venial sins do not turn people away from God. Protection from mortal sin. Mortal sin means that a person consciously knows that the action he is taking is wrong, but he still does it for personal pleasure. And in the Catholic Church, the forgiveness of mortal sins is through receiving the sacrament of forgiveness. So that we are always kept away from mortal sins, we need to partake in the Eucharist because the power of the Eucharist not only redeems us from venial sins but also keeps us away from mortal sins. Intimacy with Jesus. We often hear the statement that it is very important to have a very close relationship with Jesus Christ. However, you need to know that the most important thing is through the Eucharist. Because the main fruit in receiving the Eucharist is close union with Jesus. Renewal of spiritual life. In the Catechism of the Catholic Church, the Eucharist is able to protect, increase and renew the growth of the grace of life that we have received in the sacrament of baptism. Unity with others. In the Eucharist, we are united with Jesus, so we are also united with all those who receive the Eucharist to become one body in the Church. Boundless love. Sincerely, Jesus humbled himself to die on the cross. Regardless of status, we must love each other, even those who are poor, disabled, or outcasts. And the king answered them, Verily, truly, I say to you, whatever you have done to one of the least of these my brothers, you have done it to me. Matthew 25 verse 40. Saint John Chrysostom also emphasized for us to have mercy because we have also received mercy from God. Spiritual comfort. When the Eucharist is truly experienced, we feel joy and consolation. Therefore, when difficulties are coming your way, come to the Eucharist. Ask Jesus to love us with his comfort and peace. Bringer of peace. Through the Eucharist, it can change and encourage people to seek peace. Thanks to the Eucharist, people involved in conflict can gather together, listen to the Word of God, hear the prophetic message of reconciliation through forgiveness and receive the grace of forgiveness that allows them to share in the same bread and wine. Propositio 49. Source of life. The Eucharist is inseparable from Jesus Christ. The Eucharist is the source of life. So, for those of us who want to always be close to Jesus, there's nothing wrong if, from now on, we focus our lives on the Eucharist. There is nothing more important in our lives than the Eucharist. After knowing this amazing and important fact about the Eucharist, we will more often draw closer to the Eucharist, who is Jesus Christ himself. Just like a good father, he will always listen to us.